Hello and good afternoon. I wonder if you're thinking, why has he put his screensaver up on the wall? I took this photo about 6 weeks ago driving home from work. Rush hour as well. So if you want to come and study ever, then chat to me afterwards. But in this kind of environment, up in the Lake District, it does make you sometimes pull over, as I did, and reflect on where you're going and where you came from. And so I did, and I thought, wow, so I've become a professor and I'm living up in this beautiful place. How did that all happen? And I thought, well, really, I suppose a real critical turning point in my life was when I was 9 years old. I was quite a mediocre student, and we moved to America because my dad was in the Navy. And after it was about 6 months in an American school, I was in great difficulty because they had a different curriculum, they had different spellings, and my mum tried to persuade my teacher to understand that and not mark me down. And she seemed to do the exact opposite. So I mean, there was one test where it was all colour, labour, and all the other words that I would get wrong, and 0 on 10, and I came home crying. So my mum faced a crisis, and so she decided that she wouldn't just be a mum anymore, she would become my teacher. Took me out of school, homeschooled me for a year. When I went back to the UK, I was top of everything. And the key thing also was that after a few months of being homeschooled, she realised that I was going to complete the curriculum really fast. And so we reduced it to only about 2-3 hours a day. She bought me a boat, and so at 10 years old, I was just going off adventuring. And I think that is just as important as well. Now, I am at the University of Cumbria, and the campus where I'm based was founded over 100 years ago by the woman down here on the right, Charlotte Mason. And these are governesses. Now, if you know anything about history, you may have heard of the governess. They were homeschoolers, so they taught kids at home. So this is one of the world's first, perhaps only, schools of homeschooling. And although they're sitting in rows there, actually the approach that Charlotte Mason developed was very experiential, very interactive, basically in dialogue with the student. And it wasn't about force-feeding or controlling the kids, it was about inspiring their desire to learn. And that often involved taking them out and about into the workplace, but also into nature. And of course, being in the Lake District, that was possible and a beautiful thing to do. Now, this has helped me to see a little bit more about the philosophy of education, bringing forth our passions and highest hopes and desires for our lives. In context, I think that somehow we've forgotten that. And when I come down to London and I see everyone charging around during the rush hour under the tube and so on, and all busily participating in getting on and being successful in a system which is driving us towards collective suicide with climate change. In a system which has allowed the financial crisis to really, really be ripping apart societies right now. In a society which seems to just accept a perpetual war. I mean, why is everyone charging around, wanting to be more and more successful, ever greater leaders, fit in at the top of existing power structures that to me and to many people seem deeply flawed? And I'm wondering, is it because we have not encouraged each other to, as the whole idea of becoming knowing whole human beings, to ask deep questions about everything, about each other and about ourselves and what's going on and what we want to do in life. Now, interestingly, I found there are many famous people who've been homeschooled, including the son of this lady, but also people like Lincoln and Einstein and so on. So there is a track record there of people who sort of think out of the box. And for me, I think that's key. The first moment of leadership is where it's not just about fitting in some existing power structure, but questioning everything, asking deeper questions, thinking, why are people saying that? And also, why do I feel that way? If I hear something I don't like, why is that? If it makes me feel a bit affronted, why is that? That you need to not just live in a world of confirmation bias where you just, everything that fits with your worldview, you then say, yeah, that's good, let's do that. But if something feels a bit weird, a bit odd, makes you feel a bit strange, that's where you need to look and question and inquire. So some of you may, I don't know how you'll react when I show this is a quote from Christine Assange. She told me in October last year. We were in touch to do with her son, who some people believe is Britain's leading political prisoner for the almost last 3 years now. Other people have different views, but most people who do have a view on him haven't read any of the primary sources. They even think he's being charged when he hasn't. And so I think perhaps we're still sitting in classrooms. It's just now it's our couch in front of the TV, and we're all being fed a certain line. We need, if we're going to be leaders, to ask deeper questions about what's going on. And so for me, that's what I'm trying to get across, really, in the work we're doing at IFLAS, the Institute for Leadership and Sustainability. It's not all about the environment, it's about us. It's about asking deep questions about what do we want from life, what's going on, what's wrong with systems. We can't bolt on environmental and social fixes to the existing system. We have to actually look to how we can help transform it. And that doesn't mean then, sort of, to invent a term, women washing existing leadership roles by having a few female faces in them. It's asking much deeper questions about existing corporate and political systems and how they are advancing certain interests, certain attributes, and not others. And that path of leadership is not easy. It will lead to a lot of setbacks. You'll piss some people off. But as the local famous Walker says, well, we were made to do that, weren't we? That's what life is about. Thank you.